Welcome to the big show, everybody. It's your boy, BigLockDaddy, back in the house again, talking today about eSports, of all things. eSports, believe it or not. Is this a real thing? Really? Remember when you were a kid, your mom used to say to you stuff like, you're not going to be able to play video games for making money for your life. So you better concentrate on your books. Yeah. Well, eSports. Proving mom wrong. That seems to be what we got going on here. Kind of happy to see it. So, what is eSports? Well, I started to get into this a little bit. For a lot of people who've been wondering what's been going on here with the BigLockDaddy Report, I've been kind of jumping around, shifting around. Obviously, you know, I've talked about my wife before and her day-to-day struggles with life and what she's going through and trying to get it, you know, my footing or my handhold here in the internet age on some sort of medium, whether it be podcast or YouTube or whatever. But eSports is what I'm looking at lately. I started out with cryptos, did a little broadcasting as calling a football game, my cousin's football game. That was a lot of fun. But today, eSports. So what is eSports? Well, if you look on Wikipedia, which is always a good source for stuff like this, you'll find that eSports has been around since the 1970s. Believe it or not, and that was where it was born, back in the 70s. Which is really interesting because it's gotten popular as of, you know, the 2000s come around. You really started to see in the early, it started to take off a little bit. But yeah, the earliest history of it, the earliest known video game compilation took place on October 19th, 1972 at Stanford University for the game Space War. Stanford students were invited to an intergalactic space war Olympics. Damn, that sounds fun. In 72, remember, these kids had Pong. 2 bars on either side of the screen bouncing a ball back and forth. Can you imagine what the first Space War Intergalactic Olympics was like? Oh my God, must have been amazing. Must have been amazing. But then, you know, you roll into the 80s. That was through the 70s. And the grand prize for that first Stanford University Space Wars game, a 1-year subscription to Rolling Stone magazine. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Bruce Baumgart winning the 5-man free-for-all tournament, and Tovar and Robert E. Moss winning the team competition. See, but that gives way to the Space Invaders Championship, which was held by Atari in 1980, was the earliest large-scale video game competition, attracting more than 10,000 participants across these United States. Yeah, I know, I'm hamming it up for you, but I'm reading. Yeah, so, you know, that's really where it got its start. Between 72 and 80, it really kind of, those were the beginning days, which is awesome. That's absolutely awesome. You know, bring it right up into the 90s when they started, you know, 82, 84. There were, Starcade, the TV show Starcade. I never watched that, but man, arcades used to be a giant thing. You used to just hope that you could grab a $10 roll of quarters and get to the arcade, and you could play your favorite games: Kung Fu, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong. There was a game, Off-Road. Oh, I used to love it. And see, that's just it. Generation X, and that's what I'm a part of. I'm 40 years old here talking about video games, believe it or not. Okay. I'll go with it. Why not? That's what, you know, I, as a kid, always wanted my own video game system. And as a kid, we had the Atari 2600, which was awesome for that day. I remember, too, my grandfather on Pac-Man. My grandfather at the time being a 65-plus-year-old man playing Pac-Man in, like, 1984. He was killing it. Killing it. Oh, my God. He got the high score. all the grandkids are watching what's going on. Like, oh my God, Grandpa's killing pet. Can we play? Nope. Grandpa owned it. Till he lost, he owned it. Killed it. So, my generation was the first with the video games that was really arcades, Main Street America. You ever go to a mall, go to an arcade, hanging out at the arcade. These days you get a lot of ticket games and people playing speedball or skee ball or whatever it is. And that's fun for what it is. But back in the day, man, arcades used to be the shit, man. That's where we used to hang. We'd have fun. You meet your friends. You go to the arcade. Then they came out with that downhill skiing game. Well, guess what, people? Once we hit 2000, it all just... with the invention of the Sega Genesis, the Nintendo, the original NES system, which came out probably in the late 80s, beginning of the 90s. It got big. The Nintendo World Championships started around 1990. They had that out at Universal Studios in Hollywood, California. They held another one in 94 for the Super NES. And that's where I think 94, that 92, 93, 94 is where it really got mainstream because people could afford it. People for the first time could afford a video game system, and the video game systems were pretty friggin' good. You could sit at home and play a video game now for, just like you could at the arcade. It was the same, fidelity on your screen, only you could sit on your couch in your underwear or whatever the hell you wanted to do and play. Oh, it was great. Bringing the full-size arcade video game home, into your home with the PlayStation, Nintendo. And then Xbox joins the fray in the 90s. And those are your big three, man. You got your Wii, your Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. Those are your big three. When it comes to strict at-home gaming, they each offer gaming consoles for your home, and a lot of people do that. Now, there's also like the PC side of this whole eSports thing, and that's what I wanted to get into is the eSports. We've been walking down memory lane and going through a little bit of history on the eSports here, but what is it really now today? And if you looked at, how it got its start in its infancy and its childhood, then into its teen years, the 2000s, now, baby's all grown up. We're in 2018 now. We have major tournaments. Like, I think last year, eSports garnered, just eSports alone as a whole kind of entity to itself, garnered about $380 million worth of business, and that's just in we're not talking, game systems sold and all this other crap. We're just talking about everything around eSports. There are, energy drinks that advertise, anything video game related, and that's where all this eSports stuff comes in. But I want to talk, and I'll get to it in a minute. I wanted to talk about where it's heading, because I think eSports is a very broad term, and as it stands right now, it mostly gets associated with computer gaming, home gaming, the whole game sort of, and there's different roles and different genres. You have fighting games, first-person shooters. You know what I mean? You got real-time strategy games, kind of like Risk on your computer. World of Warcraft might be one of these. What else you got? The biggest ones right now, though, are the Counter-Strike Go and Call of Duty, League of Legends, Dota, Smite, Rocket League, World of Tanks, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone, Super Smash Bros., Melee, StarCraft 2, Overwatch. And some of these have cards to go along with the online electronic aspect of the game. Electronic sports, eSports. I think that's why the name fits. But that encompasses a lot. You've got tournaments, training. Now, the tournaments are what's really taken off and what's going to give rise to the next few years. I mean, you could be looking at $1 billion industry by 2020, depending. Knowing that with the PC gaming crowd and knowing with my history of cryptos, video graphics cards that go both ways. The pricing on video graphics cards went through the friggin' roof as soon as the crypto mining stuff hit, because, hey, those crypto miners love video graphics cards. And there was a run. So when you look at it like that, now the prices are coming back down because the crypto craze is dying out. Sort of. It'll be back. Trust me, it'll be back. But for now, we're talking esports. So what you're starting to see is now it's making its way to mainstream. Okay, all the tournaments has given rise to advertising. You've got services now like Panda TV, Twitch TV, which I have a Twitch channel. Check it out, man. I have been diving into this esports world a little bit with the Call of Duty, PUBG, and I've been checking these various games out, a bunch of different games, Fortnite, and seeing, like, those are a lot of first-person shooter / strategy / whatever you want to call it. Now, the whole thing with all these games, see, I'm not into the card games or any of those, World of Warcraft, that's not me. You've got other video types of poker and video types of gambling and video types of strategy. You can do Risk, Life, all these other games that are going to come out. You're going to see all sorts of new stuff hit the marketplace 2019, 2020. The whole industry is going to change, but I think, this is just my guess, but if I'm guessing, you've got not just Silicon Valley out in California. My days with the cryptos have taught me you've got to look around the country. Ashburn, Virginia. There's a lot of activity up in Ashburn. There's a lot of activity in different hotspots all over the country for all this new kind of media, this new kind of, the crypto, esports, wave of the future. You know what I mean? Where are games going? Are we going to end up like in a place like Ready Player One? I mean, did you see Ready Player One? Great movie. I thought it was great. Because I honestly think that we could end up in something like that eventually. Or is it going to be more like, kind of like, not Blade Runner, what's that other movie? The Running Man. You know what I mean? Where the technology is going to give rise to, or what's that one with Gerard Butler? Where he's a soldier. And you can actually control the physical soldier from your, it's all neural and brain implants and waves and communication systems and whatnot. But it's absolutely amazing. I mean, is that where we're heading as video games? People controlling other people in real time. That no thanks. Personally, I think that's a bad idea, but there could be some really good and interesting, like, I think the way to go would be the Ready Player One type way, where there's a place you can go and the thing you can do and you can become part of the game. But then again, like anything else, it'll get abused. It's tough. So with all that being said, right now, like, you hear esports and you think, Jesus, esports, real sports, they're obviously different. But you got to look at it as being the same in the way that you train professionally to play football, baseball, basketball, hockey. How would you train for esports? Well, this is kind of interesting. And I think there's room for a lot of growth, especially in the industry here. In training that the players must undergo to prepare for tournaments is different, but still takes a tremendous amount of time. Athletes from traditional sports training is almost entirely based on honoring their physical prowess in performing that sport, such as muscle memory, exercising, dieting. You know what? I'm not even paying attention to the chats. There could be people. No, there's nobody in there. You gotta have listeners. See, my ADD mind. Let me get back into that. Esports athletes training is much more based on training the mind, such as studying strategies and updates for the game. Team Liquid, a professional League of Legends team, practice for a minimum of 50 hours per week, and most play the game far more than just that. So they're saying they practice together. Their team practices together 50 hours a week. And that's not even including when they're on their own playing the game. This training schedule for players has resulted in many of them retiring at a very early age. Few careers burn as intensely and briefly as that of an esports professional. I can't even believe I'm reading these words. Players are generally in competition by their mid to late teens, and most are retired by their mid-20s. Because of this, people in the industry are discussing the possibility of implementing physical workouts in addition to the mental training they already go through. And that is all it says about training. Yeah. It is. This is such a new area that's being explored. Just because, yes, you have to train the body as well. You can't sit in a chair. See, that's the problem with what's going on with esports. You can't sit in a chair as much as required to play the game and expect to remain in good health. I mean, if you're playing just in tournaments only and just training and playing, like a person goes to work 8 hours a day to sit down, and they get up and they go home. But here's the thing. This is already in the home. You're not going somewhere to do this. You can do this anywhere. You can play on a laptop, in a coffee shop, anywhere. So I think the person who masters self-discipline trains their body, their mind, because you got to have the dexterity in your fingers. You got to have the quickness in your mind and your eyes to spot the controls at first, and then get to know where everything is. And it's just like, it's a lot different than playing with a PlayStation controller or an Xbox One controller. It's tough. It can be tough. But Ski, Counterlogic Gaming, SK Telecom T1, Splice, Team Envious, Nataspheres consist of several professionals. In addition to prize money from tournament wins, players may also be paid separately a team salary. Team sponsorship may cover... See, okay. And this is what performance enhancing drugs. See, this is where it's going to get real crazy. Gambling. This section needs expansion. Data analytics and machine learning. It needs expansion. See, right now, the biggest way to view this stuff is live internet streaming. However, some countries and some places have put it on television for Friday, September 2015, Turner Broadcasting partnered with WME-IMG. They announced 2 seasons of the E-League, a Counter-Strike global offensive league based in North America, including 15 teams from across the world competing for a $1.2 million prize pool each 10-week season. The tournament filmed at Turner Studios in Georgia and simultaneously streamed online streaming websites on TBS on Friday nights. Major League Gaming, if you ever heard of them. See, so you could say esports is just a gaming thing only, whereas I look at it like this. I think you're going to have to, if you're calling it electronic sports, right? So, first of all, we're going to look into this esports thing a lot more. I'm going to play some games. I'm going to put some stuff on Twitch. Hey, let's see if we can build a following, If you followed me from cryptos, if you followed me from, whatever I was talking about before, end of the world stuff, I'm going to move around a little bit. We're going to check out some different things. Things that I think are interesting. The cryptos, hey, you know how I feel about cryptos. I think you should own some. I think everybody should own some. I own some. It's always good. Know what you're buying. Okay. So cryptos, yeah, we all talked about that. Now we're in esports. We did end of the world stuff to start. I like sports. I threw up some sports videos that I did. So it's going to change a little bit. But I think esports is going to change the most in the fact that I think we're going to see drones, drone racing, all these alternative sports. People want to call them alt sports. Esports is an alt sport. Nah, see, this is why I think we call them esports. Because there's, electronic sports. If it has to do with electronics, doesn't matter if it's computers, doesn't matter if it's drones with their, the fact that they're all electrical powered, the fact that they're all, all the electronic components that go into them. Esports. I think it's going to be a very broad term. You know, you could say esports drone racing or esports RC racing. You got esports computer gaming. Like whatever other sports out there are, you know, incorporated electronically. Esports drag racing if you wanted to do a Tesla division. You know what I mean? Like, you could do a whole electronic sports division separate from sports. And while it would compete somewhat with what's there, it's also a new product on its own. Anyway, these are thoughts that I've had. These are thoughts that I've been going over, milling over, you know. I don't know if you've seen any of my Twitch stuff or any of those videos. I suck at Call of Duty. I'm pretty bad at PUBG too. First person shooters, obviously. I'm working with a PC now. I grew up on the sticks with the PlayStation and whatnot, but I was still trash with that. I've been playing first person shooters for 15 years and I'm still garbage. I've never been serious about it though. I think that's part of the problem. You got to get serious about it and do it and get active with it and remember maps, remember this, remember that, try all the different guns, try all the different specialists. And I like first-person shooters and role-playing games and stuff like that. I mean, back in the day, I used to play Final Fantasy VII. That was a great Final Fantasy. It was such a new type thing for the time. And now, you know, which gave way to games like World of Warcraft and Overwatch and all this other good stuff. But Mom always said, you can't make a living playing video games. Really, Mom? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to have some fun with this and see what we can do. I've been going back over old audio footage of my old shows and stuff. Because I noticed, you know, once May and June hit, I kind of shut things down for the year just because the wife's health, some other issues we had going on. And now, you know, we're good. Had to update some equipment. I gotta look back in on Packcoin too. Get back to the crypto, do a crypto video or something. Because I keep seeing, you know, they've added almost double the amount of masternodes they had when I was talking about the coin back in April. So that's packnode.net there. Either way, I don't know. We'll see. This the esports though, is it gonna take off? That drone racing seems pretty cool. And I would like to classify that as an esport because I really think that is. As fast as those things are going and you're not on it. I mean, yeah, everybody's like, well, you're in a NASCAR, you're doing 200 miles an hour. Well, that's great. But you're not doing 200 miles within a 30-foot area, then having to make a hairpin turn, fly up 20 feet to hit a hoop. It's just ridiculous if you ever watch the drone racing. You do everything from RC cars to Teslas. What else was I thinking? There's some other electrical type things that, I don't know, you could race Segways. But there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. I just think it warrants mentioning, folks. Warrants mentioning, and keep it on here. I'm gonna talk a little more about esports, not today. I'm gonna shut it down for now because I want to just, what is this thing for real? And it is for real. To answer the question I asked, it is for real. It is a real thing. There's real money to be made in playing video games. And then if you're funny or if you're goofy or you can always stream it for fun and people will watch you that way too. So there's a lot of ways to get into this new area that we're starting to see and hey, check it out, have fun. Go look things up. You know what I mean? Find something that makes you happy. Find something you want to do that makes you feel good. Like this. I've always loved video games, so I'm checking it out. I always loved money, so I checked out cryptos. I'm in, I'm out, I'm still in, I'm out. Yeah, it is what it is. But, also, maybe next show, maybe a couple shows from now, we're going to bring in some guests. We're actually going to have a panel in studio. Bunch of people talking about stuff. It's going to be kind of fun. You bring some people in. Maybe we'll call up a couple of convenience stores. Is your refrigerator running? Well, then you better go catch it. We could do some Adam Sandler phony phone calls. That would be fun. Been listening to a lot of Richard and Sal from the Howard Stern Show. God, those guys are funny. Calling in radio. Calling into radio shows. I would love to just... Like, I know, if I were to ever get a call or one of you guys were ever to contact me or reach out or do something like that and just be completely silly like the Richard and Sal stuff, I just think I would wind up laughing my ass off. Because there's no, it's not like we're on TV and we can get in trouble if the F word comes flying out. I think that's half the appeal there. Or you got somebody who's so about their show that they take it so seriously, and anybody shitting on it in the slightest form just pisses them off. Well, once you know you got something like that, oh my God. I'm still reading about the eSports here. Olympic Games recognition. The Olympic Games are also seen as a potential method to legitimize eSports. A summit held by the International Olympic Committee in October 2017 acknowledged the growing popularity of esports, concluding that competitive esports could be considered as a sporting activity, as the players involved prepare and train with an intensity which may be comparable to athletes in traditional sports. That's a quote. But would require any games used for the Olympics fitting with the rules and regulations of the Olympic movement. Two difficulties remain in presenting esports as an Olympic event, according to the IOC president. That they would need to restrict those that present violent gameplay, and that there is currently a lack of global sanctioning body for esports to coordinate further. Once the issue of violence... Yeah, I think there's more to it than that. There's the whole cheating aspect, too. At a tournament overseas, I just seen a kid got caught from the optic team using, he was trying to get rid of a menu that he was using for cheats. He had some cheats wired in, and he tried to get rid of the menu, and the problem was he got rid of the menu, but they could go back through the log, track what he did, because it was right there on the screen. The menu popped up, and it's just the whole screen thing. Just mirroring a screen, everybody can see what you're doing, and someone's always watching. So the ways to cheat here, and I'll tell you what, there's times when I'm playing Call of Duty, it feels like the bullets just 1 and 2 from the other opponent just go into my body, and I'm dead. Just duck, done. No, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's all score streaks get called in like a mother. So you never know, folks. But happy Halloween either way. Thanks for listening to the show. That's eSports for today. That's my little, just taking a glance. Yes, it is a real thing. Yes, it's here to stay. There's enough money behind this thing, and it's powering up. It's going for it, so we'll see where it ends up. It should be interesting. I'll be watching. I'll be playing. Join me online. Drop a subscribe. Drop a like. You can go to YouTube. You can go... wow. You can go to YouTube. You can go to Twitch TV, BigLockDaddy. You can also go to Twitter, Instagram, BigLockDaddy, BigLockDaddy. Go to Google. Just type in BigLockDaddy. You want to see some shit? Go for it, man. Either way, it's been great spending some time here with you on Halloween. I hope you have a great time. If you haven't taken the kids out to trick or treat yet, or you're getting ready to, or maybe you already have. I don't know. Maybe you're in England. Either way, have a great and safe Halloween. Come on back for the next show. I'll have another one coming out in a couple days. Keep it here. Download the podcast. Remember to like and subscribe. And I'll check you folks out on the flip side. BigLockDaddy out. Oh, I sound like Seacrest. I'm not ending it like that. I'll catch you all later. Y'all have a great night. This is BigLockDaddy signing off.